The calculations. Now, it's going to be impossible for me to do all 6 calculations this afternoon. Remember, one calculation takes about 10 minutes for you to really understand, if not more than 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you what calculations are important for the exams. Now, the most important calculations are these that you see here. Distance, there are 6 of them. Area, gradient, magnetic declination, magnetic bearing, and vertical exaggeration. Matrix, see that you are in a position, firstly, that you know the formula of each of these calculations. That is where everything begins. Okay? Sometimes they supply with the formula in the exams. It's not necessary to do so. Okay? Then you've got to know it. See that you're in a position that you know your formulas. And then from there, you can actually go on and do your calculation. Now, please remember, when you do calculations, follow the steps accurately. Firstly, 2 things you must do accurately. You must measure if a measurement is required. Measure accurately. That's the first one. And follow all the steps. You know, if you make a mistake, you can still get marks for the mistake, for the steps that you have done. And you can gain up to 40% of the marks by just following the correct steps. So please do that. So let's have a look at. You must know distance, right? Map distance times scale, divide by 100,000. Look at that. Answer in kilometers. Please look at all the units that I'm showing you here at this moment. All right? You must know these units. Because if you don't answer it in the units, if you don't add the units, your answer is incorrect. So please, Matrix, don't throw away. That's not really a stupid mistake, okay? Don't throw away marks. You need every possible mark. Look at area. Now, some children tell me, okay, I can calculate distance, but I'm struggling with area. I don't believe you. Because what is area? Area is just 2 distances that you've got to calculate, and you times it, and then you get area. So please, this is very easy. Gradient. Remember, gradient. No units. Magnetic declination. Magnetic bearing. That is magnetic declination plus bearing. And of course, your vertical exaggeration, which is the vertical scale and the horizon divided by the horizontal scale. Your answer here will be so many times, x times, so many times the one scale larger than the other one. Okay. But let's have a look at this slide again. Check up on. You'll have to go and check up and practice all these calculations. Okay. Now, if you look at the top 3 that we've got, all the top 3 has to do with distance. This is your ordinary distance one. As I've said, area, what is? Just 2 distances, right? Gradient, again, distance, height over distance. So if you can do distance, you are at least on your way to do 3 calculations. All right? So see that you are in a position to calculate distance, because if you do that, you can do 3 calculations. So these are the calculations that you must know. Now, when we had a look at the question papers, these came up with regard to calculations. Firstly, some candidates continue to struggle with the calculations, and they neglect to show the different steps they have followed. Candidates were credited with each correct step shown. I've mentioned this in my introduction. Do you see how important is it that you must be able to know the formula and to follow the steps? Because if you know the formula, the steps will follow. Okay, so you must do that. Okay, don't struggle with calculations. Every day, go and work out. Today I'm going to do distance. Get a topographic map. In your textbooks, there are enough topographic maps. And say, okay, I am going to calculate the distance from here to here. 2, 3, 4 of them. Go to your teacher, say, listen, I calculate these distances. Are they correct? The next day you do gradient, and so forth and so forth. But as I've said, when it comes to calculation, practice makes perfect, right? You will have to take control of that situation. Then the following thing, all calculations and final answers must have included the required units. Can you remember I've mentioned that also? Or no marks were awarded for that step. For instance, meters, right? True north, west of true north, so many times. Okay, see that you use, please, that you use your different units in your answers. Please, people, don't, as I've mentioned this before, don't make silly mistakes, okay? You must actually remember that after I've done a calculation, what unit is very important here. Add that unit. It's 2 marks, people, all right? And please, every mark counts in matric. Don't lose a mark, and that only because you have forgotten to add the unit as well. Okay, please remember that. Right. Now we are going to have a look at map reading. Now, the rest of my discussion will center around map reading. Now, this is the 3rd question in your exam. And as you saw, that the most of the marks you get here in map reading, 25 of them. Now, I've also said in my introduction that to do map reading, you must know your work. You must know the content for map reading. Otherwise, you will never ever know what answer, you will never be able to derive the answers from the maps. You must know your work. In fact, I believe that you must know your work better to answer the 2nd question paper than the 1st question paper, right? Because the answers are hidden there in the map. And if you don't know your work, you're not going to see the map, the answers. Remember, all the answers are there, but you must know your work to get to the answers. Okay, so let's have a look at map reading. Now, the question of question 3 deals with, as I've said, application and interpretation of your content that you've studied for the whole year. Now, basically, people, your question 3 will deal with climatology, geomorphology, and settlement, right? Climatology, geomorphology, and settlement. Most of your marks will come from those sections. So you must know your work. You must know how to use this work, the facts, to get to the answers. Now, what is happening nowadays is that if you look at the question papers, they usually, sometimes, they will also give you statistics of something in that region. Now, in last year, they gave this, for instance, the average monthly precipitation for Queenstown. Remember, they did Queenstown's map. Now, having given this puts the examiner in the position to test your statistical skills, but not only that. He can also test your skills if you can use the statistics there and apply that on the map. And that's very, very important. Now, that's some higher order thinking, to use the statistics and to apply it on the map. So let's see. Now, what they did here was ordinary calculations, but what they also did was the following. And this, you must, please, matrix, you must be in a position to do this. You must be able to describe the information in the statistics. All right, very important. Describe the information in the statistics. Tendencies, for instance. What are the tendencies in the rainfall from June to September, for instance? In other words, is it getting more, is it getting less? What's the tendency? Is it the upward tendency? Is it downward tendency? You must be able to describe. Now, here they've given you statistics. It could have been a graph also, right? So please, people, you must be in a position to do this. Secondly, you must be in a position to do calculations from the statistics or the graph. Look at that one. Calculate the average annual precipitation for Queenstown. All right? So it's a very important thing. Now, after they've asked you, for instance, to calculate the annual precipitation, what does that lead to? Now they can tell you, okay, you've discovered now that it's a low rainfall area. Why? Why is it a low rainfall area? Where do I get that answer? I've got to go to the map. You see now what I'm talking about, matrix? You must be able to integrate your statistics with a map all the time, okay? When they give you statistics or graph, it will deal with that area. So please, people, you must always, through your mind, go, yeah, I've got the statistics. What does the statistics do? How does it fit in with this area that they are examining? Okay, come back to that with the next slide. Here we go. Use it to integrate the answers with topographic and an orthophoto map. The answers. Now, if you have a look at this, you will see the total 514, for instance, millimeters rain. And then they could ask you, for instance, the high rainfall area is the low rainfall area. Look at this. They can ask you, is it in the summer, or is rainfall in the summer, or rainfall in the winter? All right? Is it seasonal rain? Now, if your answer is seasonal rain, of course, what are they going to do? They're going to ask you. Now, there's the map. Why? What indications are there that this area receives seasonal rain? You see, you see the thinking pattern matrix from the statistics, from the graphs, back to the map, back to the orthophoto. Okay? You must think about that all the time when you are busy with your map book. Okay, so now they've asked you, right, there you've got it. Your answer was seasonal rainfall. Why? Then, what must I look at? You must look at the many dams that are there, because there are many dams, then it means that the farmer must dam water for the dry season. Are there any things like irrigation schemes? Now, here we've got an interesting thing. Here we've got the Afrikaans word. I doubt whether you can see it, but here's written besproeiingsskema. Now, where would you find that word? That word would be here in your translation schedule. Remember when I talked about page 2? There you'll find the word besproeiingsskema and irrigation scheme. Right? And immediately, there's my answer. Okay, so irrigation scheme. Are there any other indications as well? Many non-perennial rivers that we've got here. Okay, furrows, right? Furrows, which of course, irrigation. I mean, if we had rainfall throughout the year, you didn't need irrigation. Right? So that's that. The next one they can ask, for instance, aspect. Is it warmer at A or at B? Now, Matrix, we have huge problems in the first question paper when it comes to aspect. That candidates cannot identify the warmer slope, right? That's very important. Now, if you can't do that in the first question paper, you're going to have huge problems in the second question paper to identify it. Okay? Because here you're working with a map. In the first question paper, you're working with a diagram, which could be a little bit easier. But now when you work with a map, this is a different story. So let's have a look. Here we've got A and B. Which one of the slopes A and B is warmer? And remember, this is all our maps in the southern hemisphere. And what would our answer be? Our answer would be that. Right? What do? I look at the north-facing slope. And then my answer will always be that the north-facing slope is much warmer. In other words, A, which is the north-facing slope, is much warmer than B. Okay? So, have a look at this slide again, Matrix. If you did not understand aspect, there's no ways that you could get to this, the answer of this question. Okay? So, do you see why I said that for the second question paper, you must even know your content much better, because you've got to apply it to the maps. All right.